Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WP Watercooler, episode number 146. Today's topic is what
100?
146? 246. Oh my gosh.
It took us this many episodes to come up with a therapy session episode.
You did us up 2 whole years. Speaking of which, we're going to be talking about what frustrates us with Google Hangouts as well as with...
That'll take us much longer than a half hour.
This is just a kvetching episode.
And get them introduced. George, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm George Stefanis. I work on Jetpack by day. I do tinkering on random other stuff, and I am lead organizer of WordCamp Lancaster, Pennsylvania, coming March 3rd, which is not actually officially announced yet. Ignore I said that.
How about you, Michael?
I was like, wow, March 3rd is a long time.
You got any pre-release stuff you want to share with us, Michael?
Michael Kermane, I'm the founder and CEO of Quad Shot. We're a WordPress and WooCommerce shop here in super hot Las Vegas. We work out of Innovation Center, which is awesome, which is where Switch and SuperNap are. So I love this place.
Awesome, man. So you get the best bandwidth in the world. How about you, Russ? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Russ. I'm literally on the other end of the 215 indicator for Michael. We both are on 215 indicator, but on north and south ends. I'm in Vegas. I work for a company called WebDev Studios, and yeah, WordPress.
Yeah.
Yeah,
WordPress.
I have
the frustration's already going to start, and we haven't even started yet. Tell us about you.
Is that alphabetical? I guess it is. I am Say Reed, and I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress, love WordPress, be WordPress, feel WordPress. At Say Reed Media on all the things.
Awesome. Steve, what about you?
Adding things today.
I am Steve Zengin. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress meetup.
Sweet. Various, how about you?
I'm Various Smith, and I organize the Inland Empire WordPress meetup group, run Philoveracity Design, and we are having a WordCamp in November. We're in crunch time.
November.
Nice.
Is that WordCamp IE or Riverside or what is it?
Riverside. WordCamp Riverside. Yeah.
Riverside.
I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter, and my website is jasontucker.blog. We do a bunch of shows here on WP Watercooler. Feel free to go take a look at those. Go over to wpwatercooler.com/subscribe, and you can find all the stuff happening over there. Steve, you had something to announce very early on in the show. What do you got?
I did. I'm on the organizing committee for WordCamp US, which is coming up December 1st.
You are?
I am. And
I did not know that.
Yep. We are currently filling out all our sponsorships. We've only got 2 of the medium-sized booths left. So there were 4 large booths. Those are already taken. Most of the medium-sized booths are taken. There's some small booths left. So if you are considering a sponsorship, hit me up.
Do it now. Do it today.
Jason, I'm learning very sad news that Wikipedia is going to start charging Steve to quote anything off their website from now on.
Oh no!
So we're not going to know what the meaning of frustration is it?
I mean,
So,
if you don't the water cooler that we can afford to use Wikipedia.
I was going to say, if you don't know the meaning of frustration, just watch the past episodes of the water cooler.
All 145 of them, right?
Right,
That's right.
Yeah.
There's only a couple hundred. It's cool.
There's only a couple hundred. So let's talk a little bit about frustrations in WordPress. I know that you've all had clients, especially say in this regard, when you have people who are like, they started off because she runs her consulting business of being able to.
Like, hey, which one do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So people get frustrated in the fact that WordPress isn't just like you go on a website, you type in what the host name is of squarespace.com you'd like, and then it'll spit out a website and you're good to go. There's more to it than just that.
What are you talking about? There's a one-click install process. It's just
well, for the record, though,
It's the famous 5-minute install, by the way.
Last night I did sign up for a presentation I'm doing in 2 weeks. I did sign up for and build I did screenshots with it WordPress website on my phone. So I just went bloop, 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 and then I had one in like
how did that
literally
go
less than 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, how did that go again?
Yeah, the WordPress.com one.
It makes those noises. It's really great.
So how did you
yeah,
make
that
that
was
say? Was it WordPress.com?
That was WordPress.com. Yes, it was.
So actually, that's a good. I think that's a good first.
That's a good start, isn't
I don't know if it's a frustration, but having WordPress.com and WordPress.org explaining that to people can be frustrating, right? It is confusing for people who are just coming into this space.
Yeah, it's kind of like coffee, right? Where you're like, well, I drink coffee, and they're like, well, what kind? There's so many various different flavors, and it's like, okay, well, let's start with coffee, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, but I mean, there really is a lot of difference in coffee.
I think you're only proving my
That's true. There's a lot of difference in coffee.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So when there has to be a lot of articles about the difference between .org and .com, that's definitely an issue. But as a person who has to install things for clients, let's talk about default settings for a second. Okay, it's a different world than WordPress started. Could we turn off discussions by default?
Yeah.
Like when you install WordPress, customers don't know, and all of a sudden they get tons of comments from lots of spam articles. And that's awesome for a brand new customer to experience, right? So like, let's make some of the default settings different. Other than that, we have to like copy our own install and make our own custom database and copy from that. But that's not a fresh install now, is it?
Also, why does the week start on Monday still?
Oh my God! That's the most annoying thing.
Yeah.
When you're out there in the wild and you can like you like look at someone's like calendar and it starts on Monday, you're like, just change it, change that setting. Damn it!
And
Weeks don't start on Mondays?
So that's actually
when do weeks start?
Some places in Europe actually start on different days, or
That might be debatable.
Wait, yeah,
but so that's why it's there. That's why it's there.
My week starts on Sunday.
I
know why it's there. My thought is on the setup, on the one-click install, scan the user's browser, get their time zone and locality, and if it's looking like someplace that's probably going to start on a Sunday, start it on a Sunday.
That sounds way too.
Or how about set our time zone based on where you are?
Or populate the time zones if it doesn't start as GMT.
You could also link it to
what
language.
What if my week starts on Wednesday?
Yeah, true.
Then you can change it from the default, couldn't you?
Oh. Can we put an option in there that says can we put an option in there that says I have kids and what are weekdays? Like that would be great too.
But a practical suggestion might be, how about during the installation, ask what time zone you're in? That would solve a lot of issues that come up later. And do you want
it's a question of decisions over options, really. I mean, at some point, if we start adding more and more questions at the installation flow, the installation flow gets bulkier and bulkier.
I know.
We can just make educated.
How about just two then? Do you want comments, and what time zone are you in?
Oh man, we're gonna be up to 6 minutes in this install, guys. We can't do this.
Hold on, we need a backup. We need a backup. Okay, Steve, can you please divine kvetch for us?
What? Because I'm the Jew in the room, I get to define all the Yiddish stuff.
No, I just say that because you define everything else.
I'm just kidding.
So you guys came up with there's a good point here regarding some very basic questions that should be asked. Like, are you building a cat blog, or are you building an application, or are you building there has to be a few things you have to ask. Like, are you building a blog, or are you building a commercial business thing? If you're building a commercial business thing,
WordPress.com does that right now to this day. Like,
I think that needs to be
up. It's like, what are you doing?
That would get rid of a lot of stuff.
That is something that a lot of hosting companies, especially managing hosting companies, are implementing. So this kind of concept of the onboarding experience, which can be very just like suddenly you're on board as opposed to like, going up a ramp onto the board. So GoDaddy actually, and their managed hosting. I did say it. I said it. GoDaddy and their managed hosting, they actually have a much more fleshed out onboarding experience. It's a little bit more than what WordPress.com has right now. And although I have some philosophical quarrels with it because of the way that it presents, the theme structure, and it's all their themes, it does help the client who's signing up for one to get those basic functionality. So I think that the onboarding experience is something that in the raw, in the raw quick install, like you just got the install folder, like that is empty. It's not there. It doesn't exist. So
Right.
This is something that I had been working with Dave Martin on like 4 years ago, trying to get into core that never really got any traction. So we started actually experimenting with this in Jetpack, originally called Jetpack Start. Now it's Jetpack Onboarding, I think. And we've been working and iterating with it on the past couple of years with Bluehost folks, and I think DreamHost started experimenting with it as well. I mean, it's open source, so one can really play with it. But yeah, I mean, GoDaddy's doing their own version of it. I think I saw another hosting company was doing experimenting on the same ground, but it's a basic. I mean, there are certain things that are a lot easier if it's more of a question and answer set up your site. Do you want your homepage to be a list of posts or a static thing? Do you want to give us, if you're selling something, okay, give us your information. We can set up a contact us page with your contact information and a form to start with. Stuff like that.
Kind of like the WooCommerce setup.
Yeah.
But they could probably even carry them into the WooCommerce setup. It's like, oh, you want to sell something? Let's install WooCommerce. And while you're installing WooCommerce, we already know what time zone you're in.
I mean,
we already know what your money is.
That's not something Core can do, because Core doesn't want to unfairly bias WooCommerce over all the other e-commerce providers. But it's something that like posting platforms that can certainly choose.
Here's the thing, though, is that Core is not really something that DIY people are installing anymore, because like they don't have to. I mean, they're still installing it, but they don't have to go through that same process anymore.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of moving over towards managed hosting, or even just a quick install, which is still very much based in Core. But I think it's moving towards that guided experience.
That's a good point, Sid. And the challenge with those of us that actually do start with a fresh install is that it's very repetitive behavior. So if there were some simple improvements, I don't know who else does like fresh installs for everything.
Me.
A few of us, right? There you go. So every single time I go through permalinks and I change it to post, because no one wants the whole date in the permalink. I go through discussion and turn discussions off. I go to reading and make a homepage and change it to the homepage. So that's not because that's our preference. It's that 95% of WordPress users aren't doing a blog as their homepage anymore.
Couldn't you write a script?
It's just a different world.
Well, yeah, you have it. You can definitely like do a sunset, right, or sunrise rather.
Yeah. I was gonna say you could write a script for that.
But I mean, I would even like to get to the point to where, okay, you install WordPress and it's set up, and then you get something that says, save this link to your browser so you always know how to log in. Because, I mean, trying to get people to go to WP-admin sucks. I would like to get rid of that stupid widget that puts the login link on the very front. Yeah, hyphen. I say hyphen.
You do, I guess.
I'm Russ. I'm an alcoholic. Nice to meet you guys. but I mean, like when you set up a vanilla install, you have all these links to whatever. I would just like a better way to say, here's documentation on how to get back to your site once you set up your admin and password. Because I mean, you have these credentials, but where do I go to fill them in?
Yeah.
Just so you know, George is taking copious notes right now, right, George?
So let's talk about
I'm just bouncing between multiple screens and dragging you around from one screen to the next. So I'm keeping my neck from getting too sore.
There's another challenge that happens a lot. Is that WordPress is something like 59%. I forget, Bill, with someone Google it. 59% of all sites that do CMS and like a quarter of the world's websites, period. And so that means that
get those stats wrong.
Someone look at it. As of today, it's approximately that. Of course, 97% of statistics are made up on the spot. So the problem is that because it's so popular, security is a huge issue. And by itself, unless you have hosting take care of it, it's basically up to us. So on the other hand, we make a lot of money doing security. So thanks for the lack of built-in security. However, it's something that should be addressed over time because there's nothing built into WordPress or to most hosts, frankly, that take care of all of that security for WordPress install.
What sort of security are you looking to have built into the software, right? To the CMS?
A moat.
I was gonna say a dungeon. I had a dungeon.
Dude, I'm thinking
It's just a question because
that's about it.
If left to their own devices, someone just gets a host. I'm not.
Can someone please write a function called WP Moat, please? Pretty please.
Oh, wow.
That's the best plugin for security. I think someone. Hey Russ, you gotta build that.
When you try to log in, it just shows you like a little emoji of jail. We'll call it emoji.
No, like literally, you just have to jump your mouse over the water. Like that's all you gotta do.
Well,
So
it
to
could be-
look at, I'm interested talking a little bit about the security part. So like, Microsoft in Windows, everyone has made all these different applications that tie into Windows to be able to have those, to have security involved in it. So like being able to say, oh, well, I want to use Norton as my security system, or I want to use McAfee as my security system, whatever. Like Microsoft themselves is a
Windows
competitor of
security.
that. Like they're providing their own security in this.
They
So
use
I kind of get where Michael's coming from in that. I could see where WordPress could get its mitts a little bit in there, especially if you were to tie it into like Jetpack or something like that, where you could have at least a little bit
That's
of
what I was
that.
thinking, because
Jetpack has brute force on it, right?
Right, exactly.
WordPress, what? Come on
right,
now.
but who knows that? What I'm saying is like the installation.
We do.
Well, I guess that's backup anyway. That's not the same thing.
Yeah,
That's
like
what I'm talking about.
there's-
It has all those
WordPress also
features.
does security scanning, so
You're
it's
at-
there.
Oh, it's all in there. It's all lumped in together.
so if someone doesn't know
Anyway.
that, there's nothing in if automatic or guys that run Jetpack, for example, could build in so that there's notifications like if you use this would be a feature because no one reads those. So maybe
Wait,
there's
so
something.
hold on, Mike, hold on. So you're saying we should put an advertisement for Jetpack upsell services in WordPress core? Because that's
I'm
not
pretty
going to
sure
happen.
Doesn't that already exist? Isn't it like
Kismet
pre-installed
exists, but-
everywhere?
Well, there's that massive bar that shows up on the
Yeah,
top saying
well,
make
what
sure you
about
log
Well,
in.
that's if a host happens to pre-install Jetpack for you. That's not something that
That's a
ships
good
in
point.
WordPress core.
But
But
most
even
hosts
if
are
Jetpack
doing
is-
that now.
Even if Jetpack is installed, it has to be activated before that shows up. So like that's completely different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which some hosts
Okay.
pre-activated. That's fine.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, sure, no, totally.
On the,
But
one hand, I want automatic completely out of WordPress.org. On the other hand, great company producing great products like Jetpack, and also now runs WooCommerce. I'm the founder and host of WooCommerce Meetup. It's changed over time. Now we're using Jetpack for shipping. So there is integration happening with automatics managed properties. I'm not saying, I'm just raising it as a debate point. Like maybe in the future, it would be something that it could be an option. If you'd like security, here's an option. You can also get your own and use, iTheme Security, WordFence, and others, Security. But there's all these small plugins in the consumer. If we're talking about problems with WordPress, that's a problem. There is no standard. There is no.
Okay, so you're talking and saying that Core should do something, and now you're saying Core should recommend other plugins that do something. I mean, there's not a lot that Core can potentially do for security that it's not already doing. A lot of security stuff is going to depend on having third-party servers up in the cloud that login attempts are being reported to, so we can say yes or no, this is legitimate. It's going to depend on scanning to keep up to date with more recent exploit signatures and that sort of stuff. It's going to depend on backups. It's going to depend on something that will notify you when there's a vulnerability on a plugin and an update available, which Core already does do to an extent with automatic updates for plugins that are vulnerable. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is really cool, but that Core isn't really able to do just because it's software that anyone can just download and run.
I think that the thing is that developers who are using Core and installing fresh installs or their script installs or whatever, they are going to have their own preferences in terms of security that they're using or contracts or whatever they've got going on for security. And users who are not installing from Core, who are installing from a host or a managed host, they usually have some sort of built-in something going on with their host as their first option. So I don't actually see that as a huge need in the middle there. You know what I mean? So you're wrong. No, just kidding. I'm just sorry.
I was just asking a question.
I just see WordPress as being very, very much like how an operating system is, especially when it comes to something like Microsoft, where you have these things that there's these core functionalities that are in there that get replaced by additional plugins or additional applications that run on top of it. So like if you don't want to use the right app inside Windows, you can use Microsoft Word, you can use other applications that are out there that can tie into this. And so those default things, especially when it comes to like a browser default, you get to pick which one you want to use. And so I can see where like you're not going to use like you're not going to use two different form plugins on your website. You're going to use one.
You do not know my clients.
I've seen ones with 3 different ones. Like
I kind of feel like we're saying that we need to install Blockbuster, that app, on every time we install WordPress. I kind of feel like we're getting into that world of bloatware, right? Like I like WordPress out of the box the way it is. I think the walkthrough process of setting it up is fine, but I don't think we need to pre-package it like let Samsung and Nokia sell their different apps like when you buy their phone. I do think that I think maybe there should be like a YouTube video when you say, okay, now that you signed up, and like that welcome page, and it says, here's some things you should consider, right? Maybe that would be better than saying you have to install this or, don't WordPress.
Even that type of thing is hard though, because
it's so hard.
You don't know what that user, again, if they're just installing themselves or using managed, you don't know what their purpose is without that onboarding. And so that video is not necessarily going to make sense to anyone. That's, I think, the issue.
I 100% agree.
I think that's the issue that George is talking about, because you can't make that one size fits all thing unless it's stripped down. Have
you seen the fanny pack?
I want to talk about I want to kvetch about something. And this is not, this is WordPress. But it's not about the core or about the software itself. It's about the ecosystem and what it's doing right now.
Are you talking about a biodome?
Yeah, the biodome that is Theme Forest.
Okay.
I struggle a lot of times right now, more than ever, with my clients to get the right theme. The themes don't match the themes that come out. There's the demo, like it's a mess. Like the themes are a mess, and it's not WordPress core. It's not anything that works there. It's this like morass of theme offerings that are out there that make no sense to people, that there's no way for them to differentiate. And even on something like Theme Forest, you can't see what's going on with the theme until you've spent your money. And
I hate that.
So frustrating.
You don't even know if the homepage is running on widgets or it's custom HTML or if it's all shortcodes until you could have stopped it running.
You could have stopped it running.
Running?
Sure. Okay. But not even that. Like,
what?
Like unless you know how to inspect the element and go find that CSS page, like they could be running an old version of that theme and sell it. I say we totally agree on this, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I just think that it's actually making
episodes.
You guys, Rest and I agree, like every episode. This is not a shock. I think that it's to a point where the theme, because there's so much freedom out there in the world, even more so than plugins. There's not like people aren't going to Code Canyon and buying a ton of plugins. They're just looking in the plugin repository. Some people are, obviously, but like for the most part, it's a lot less of a crazy Wild West world out there with plugins. The themes they're a mess, and it makes WordPress, the software, the whole ecosystem look bad. And then people are like, well, I'm just going to go over here to Squarespace where I can just pick one and go, and it looks like what it looks like. And, that hurts my feelings. But it does. But it's, to a certain extent, it's true, because how do you choose from 10,000 themes?
Well, even that, like,
but all you need is a knife.
I've been looking for a new theme for my blog for a while, and like trying to find a video post format on any kind of theme is impossible. And then trying to even just like find a homepage that kind of looks decent without dragging and dropping and short coding, and like it's getting to the point to where I don't even look on the normal places where I used to go anymore. Me
neither. It's getting to the point where I'm like, wow, maybe I should just use builder plugins for everyone so we can just make what they want, since all the themes are forcing us to do that anyway. But which is totally not the point. I've been using a lot of 2017 and 2016 and just being like, here's a builder, we'll put your boxes where we need to put them and move on with our lives.
So we'll just use Gutenberg for the homepage?
Well, I'm kind of excited about Gutenberg, and I was not here for that episode, so I hope we have another one soon.
Definitely, especially when it comes.
We actually have Steve Gutenberg coming on.
What is that? That's so cool. So I'm into Gutenberg for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is I obviously really like books and the press, so I'm just like geeking out on the fact that it's called that.
3 minute.
And I think it could be really.
3 minute a plugin. I love it. 3 minute a plugin.
It's not here. It's not here yet, though. So it doesn't matter for the clients. And we could talk about the issues that we're going to have with explaining Gutenberg to all of the people using WordPress, but we don't have to talk about that right now.
Another challenge with WordPress is hosting. Like other episodes, you've had other episodes about hosting, and hosts put a lot of their when you use some hosts and you install things through Tasklist or their cPanel or just their one-click install, they install a lot of their own plugins, and unfortunately, it kind of removes some things that you might want them to know, and you don't know that unless you've used those hosts. And so,
well, and then they also leave those plugins there forever. Like SiteGround has a caching plugin that no one even knows is on, and GoDaddy has a whole.
That thing is so impossible to update. By the way, too, trying to update SG Cache is impossible.
Yeah, and no one even knows that it's there because it's like just sitting there in the corner, and you're like, "Why isn't this page reloading? What the hell?" I mean, I know.
So you have to remove that every time.
Do you make that voice?
I was just saying, did it have an accent? Did it do that?
Yeah, it did. So yeah, my main kvetch is if it was not actually with the software, it is with what is happening around the software, and I don't know. I honestly don't necessarily have it like, here's a fix for that or anything. So it's kind of just a kvetch because what are you going to do?
And I think what you're saying is there are no standards, right? So if you go from one hosting to another, one hosting company to another hosting company, it's completely different, right? Yes, it's WordPress, but they've done something, right? Something to the hosting, to the code, to the configuration, something. So
Mika
or different PHP or different MySQL or different.
Mika just wrote a post about that.
Going from PHP 7 to someone with 5.6.
Even trying to switch themes, like when you go from one theme to another, they might have their 7 or 8 plugins that you have to install and reinstall or whatever, and like it gets to be a nightmare because you wanted pink links instead of green links. You know what I mean? Like
use Pinkify for that.
Pinkify, got it.
My main.
I'm going to install WP mode.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great plugin.
I have an add-on for that called WP Drawbridge.
That's the hack.
That's the app where you
it's like a VPN, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I do think that there should be some sort of moratorium. I don't know who makes Visual Composer. Oh, I do. It's WP Bakery or whatever. But look, people, I don't know what's wrong with that
moratorium on Visual Composer?
I think she means that there should be a Semporium.
Semporium. No, it's not updatable. It's broken on like half the client sites. Besides, if it worked perfectly out of the box and it was what it was, I would have way less of a problem with it. But it is so coupled in all of those themes in ThemeForest. I don't understand how it became so integrated into all of those plugins or in all those themes. I don't understand how that happened. It's so bad. I'm sorry, guys, whoever you are.
It is bad. No, it is bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. I agree with you.
Yeah, so it's all of this outside stuff that's making the WordPress not look so happy, awesome, shiny, and that's my main kvetch.
By the way, according to Yiddish Wikipedia, kvetch means to complain.
We love you, Steve.
On that note.
That's it, folks, for today. Thank you very much for being on the show and hanging out with it. So we really appreciate it. I will say I am very happy at the fact that we complained more about the part where we are trying to install WordPress and doing the first 5 minutes after the 5-minute install than we were about anything else. And the media uploader didn't even come up, which is amazing.
In the time it took us to complain, we could have installed like 5 WordPress sites.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com and click on the link there to subscribe. If you really enjoyed this content, hit the little thumbs up button. And if you like, leave a comment. We would love to see any comments on any of the different social media sites that are out there. And if you are enjoying this stuff, do a review because that would be really awesome for us.
Hey, Steve, I was just checking my math, and 6 times 5 is 30. And since we're a 30-minute podcast, we could install it 6 times.